Final update. Am I the asshole for refusing to share my trust fund with my step-siblings? Well, things have gone even further downhill since my last update, and honestly, it's been a mess. My stepmom found out that my grandfather cut her and her kids out of his will. Apparently she has a friend who works at the attorney's office, and that's how she got wind of it, and well, she completely lost it. She went after my dad with a rage I've never seen before, screaming and throwing things for over an hour. She was demanding that my dad challenge my grandfather's competency, accusing him of not thinking straight in his old age and illness. She kept yelling that it wasn't fair and that my dad needed to fix things for her and her kids. It was ugly, and my dad had two fronts to deal with, her on one side and her kids on the other, both calling him out for not being a real dad if he couldn't make things fair for everyone. They were acting like they were entitled to my grandfather's money, even though he was never their grandfather. My dad finally snapped when he realized that he too had been cut out of the will. I think it was the wake-up call he needed. He saw firsthand how my stepmom's greed and her kids' entitlement had turned everything sour, and he couldn't take it anymore. He packed a bag that night and came to stay with me and my grandpa. I've never seen him so frustrated and upset, but he's been spending every minute with my grandfather, and honestly, it's been a good thing for both of them. Grandpa's health has taken a turn for the worse. He's officially bedridden now, and while it's hard to see, I'm glad my dad is here with us. The other night, Grandpa got really flustered and asked my dad to call the lawyer. He wanted to change the will again to include my dad. My dad, though, told him not to worry about it. It broke Grandpa's heart a bit, but my dad has made peace with it. He just wants to be there for Grandpa now, not because of the will or the money, but because he knows time is running out. Meanwhile, my stepmom and her two hornets, as my grandpa calls them, have been constantly showing up at the house, trying to stir things up and make my dad change his mind. But Dad is seeing through their act now. He knows why they're there. It's not about him, or even Grandpa. It's about the money, and he's done with it. He's been doing everything he can to keep them from stressing out Grandpa, telling them that Grandpa needs peace, and for once, he's putting his foot down. The other night, my dad asked me if after Grandpa passes he could move in with me. He said he'd understand if I said no, especially after everything that's gone down. But I told him yes. I did make one thing clear though. There's no way my stepmom or step-siblings are living here. He said he's pretty much done with them anyway. And the craziest part of all this? My mom even came by a few days ago to check on me, and she and my dad spoke civilly for the first time in what feels like forever. They didn't argue or bring up the past. I think this situation has humbled him, and they both just focused on what's important right now, Grandpa and me. It was nice, even if a little bittersweet. I'm dreading the day Grandpa takes his last breath, but I'm grateful my dad was able to clear things up with him before that happens. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm glad that, at the very least, my grandfather is at peace and my dad is finally seeing the light about the people in his life. This whole experience has been painful, but I'm trying to focus on the time I have left with Grandpa, and knowing that when he goes, he'll go on his own terms, without any regrets.